from the 915 to H-Town, from the Panhandle Plains to the Valley, and everywhere in between. This is the 50/50 Podcast, powered by College Promoters USA. Join me, Hector Cano, as we cover the Texas high school club and college soccer landscape, along with an inside look at the college soccer recruiting scene. The 50/50 Podcast is a platform about the people and for the people who are dedicated to the beautiful game.
College Promoters USA, founded and located in San Antonio, operates as the only family-owned college recruiting company in Texas that brings a truly professional, local, and face-to-face approach to area high school student athletes and their families. If your son or daughter is serious about college athletics, call them at 210-494-6363 or visit collegepromotersusa.com anytime. College Promoters USA, the best investment a parent can make in their high school student athletes.
Here we go. It's a championship edition of the 50/50 Podcast, powered by College Promoters USA. Our proud partners, College Promoters USA. They are America's premier college prep program and high school student athlete marketing service since 1997. For those of you located locally here in the San Antonio, Austin, South Central Texas area, you can find them at the Ventura Plaza Shopping Center here locally in San Antonio. You can also find them on social media, on Twitter at SATX Recruiting, as well as on Instagram at College Promoters USA. You can also find out more information on them regarding their info and what they're about on their website at collegepromotersusa.com. My next guest, they are the newly crowned 4A girls champions. I bet that sounds awesome. I'm sure you all have been hearing that for days now. He is head coach of the reigning 4A girls state champion, Celina Bobcats, Coach Alex Adams, and with the state final MVP, Taylor Strojewski. How are you guys?
Well,
welcome. So, you guys done anything exciting over the last few days? What's new?
Taylor, go ahead.
Obviously we had Easter, getting back into school. We definitely have been missing a lot of school lately, so it's kind of weird to be back, but just getting back to normal.
Yeah, awesome. Coach, how about yourself?
Well, we had the ring guy come by today, so got to design that. Excited to see over the next week. Let the girls kind of see what we had figured out. We're getting our state championship shirts printed by our team mom, and nice. Like I was kind of telling you in the pre thing there, that a lot of high fives. Even one day I had my kids. I teach middle school kids, and they asked me to bust out the medal, so I wore it all class for them as well.
Awesome stuff. Yeah. That's got to be one of the best things, right? One of the best moments is figuring out what you're going to put on your state championship ring, right? So that's
really cool.
Awesome stuff. So thank you for being here. We're excited to have you here for a little while, at least. We appreciate it. And we know you all are definitely very much in demand right now, and rightfully so. So first of all, what I got to say is I know you all are coming off of an unbelievable state final, right? And what I dubbed as the match of the tournament, in my personal opinion. And I know many people feel the same, and many people would agree. But here you are, you're a few days removed. What is it? Maybe 4 days, I think, 4 or 5 days removed from that state final. Have you really, when you look back on it, at least in this short time, how much have you really had a chance to reflect on that incredible final versus Midlothian Heritage? And what are your thoughts?
I guess I'll just start off. I think about it all the time. We're constantly getting, new pictures are sent in by, team moms, and, like Coach Adams was saying, we're getting our rings and state shirts. So it's super exciting, and, people are always congratulating us. So you kind of have to think about it all the time, and it's something you want to think about. Obviously the season comes to an end, so it's very different now, but I like the note that we ended on. So it's very fun to just kind of look back at it.
Coach, how about yourself?
Yeah, no, I honestly, like, even just you talking about it's giving me chills. I'm not kidding. That every single time I see anything online, I just get re-stoked again. That it's something that that I'll remember for the rest of my life. And I don't think it'll ever get old. That to put in all the work, to have all the girls, come in early, all the practice sessions, all the traveling that we have to do because we have being the 4A,
Right.
we have to travel a lot to a lot of our district games. The tough preseason uh, schedule that we had, it all came to fruition, and to have all that stuff that was built up, and then all of a sudden somebody lets the cap off the soda bottle that's been shaken off. It was amazing. It was borderline undescribable, the
I
feeling.
bet. Yeah, I bet. And Taylor, you didn't have a lot of time there to, you went from you play in that incredible state final. You get awarded the final MVP award. Congratulations on that. And
Thank
then you
you.
go right over and join with your club team and win the Dallas Cup there, right? So what was
Yes.
that like? Have you even had a chance to get 8 hours of sleep?
Yes, I think I did get enough sleep that day, but it was awesome. Two completely different teams, but I love them both so much. I'm very fortunate to be able to play both for FC Dallas and for Celina. And being able kind of back days, win 2 championships in a row was super fun. And it was kind of just like the celebrating was never ending.
Right, right. Awesome. Rafa?
Coach, how does it feel winning the state championship? I know Celina's known for football, but they have, I think, 7 state titles with Jay Moore. How does it feel being now the center of attention, bringing a soccer title here to Celina?
Oh, it's awesome. That like you said, we have a championship mentality already out there with our football program, and this year we had both our cheerleading program and our cross country program go out and win state. So we're doing a lot of exciting things out there in Celina, and to be a part of that established winning tradition, but to also be a part of perpetuating that, is something big, especially in a school that's growing. There's a lot of different places there in the area that people can choose to go and live in, and I think when word gets around that we're doing something big out there in Celina, families that have soccer is something that they really focus around. That's going to be something that they're going to think about. That they really want to make sure that they're going to a place where their kids that play in the high club leagues and all that don't go to some trash program that they're not going to be able to keep competing. So I think it was really huge for our school district to go out and do this, because I think it's going to really help families feel comfortable knowing that they're coming to a place that they can call home in the soccer community.
Awesome. Well said, Coach. And Coach, take us through. You look back on we talked about reflecting on the week that was, right, or the last few days. But when you go back, take us maybe through the season. Where you were. Obviously, you and Taylor know, along with the rest of your team, know where you all were a year ago, right? In terms of making it to this point, falling just short versus Midlothian Heritage, and then coming back, being able to see them again, and what was really a season of redemption for you all, right? Take us through, what was that season like going into the season? What were you telling the girls? And then as the season progressed, how did you handle that? What was the message there throughout the season?
Well, I think Taylor agreed. The message kind of the beginning was that we got to figure out a way to not just have Taylor always be the hero. That Taylor's a phenomenal player. She's somebody that is one of those kids that I'm going to look back upon someday and say, hey, I've never had a kid ever again since her. That's got her talent and charisma and to make them aware that the fact that we've got to take advantage of somebody that is as talented as her, but she can't do it alone. And
you mean she can't score 114 goals every season?
Right.
That's not.
Well, you know, you say that, but then whenever you go into the last year with that, you know, because I've watched the game last year, and you know, she really had a tough time doing her thing because of the fact that
Right.
she really was kind of set up there to try to do it on her own. And you know, as much as we sometimes think that Taylor's a robot, she is human every once in a while. And that was our you know agenda. We really worked at focusing on how can we make our offense dynamic to where people can't just hone in on just Taylor. And I kind of felt like we did that, and that was kind of the message the whole season. And Taylor really bought into that. You know, I remember specifically her saying that she could keep scoring more goals in the game, but she got gratification out of being
Right.
able to dish it to somebody else on the team and seeing them score. And if you look, whenever any of the other girls are celebrating, Taylor's in there just as hard celebrating as they were, and it just kind of attests to the kind of person that I think she, you know, that she is. You know, that she was this year. She told me she's about winning a state championship.
Right.
Last year was fun. She said specifically, last year was fun, but this year it's about going and winning state, and that's what we did.
Yeah. Yeah. And Taylor, so take us through that state final versus Midlothian Heritage. Did you obviously you're a competitor. You're in the moment. You're grinding, but at any point, right? Maybe there's a sub happening, uh, whatever, you know, an extended pause, a throw in. You're waiting on something. Did at any moment during that final, did it kind of take you in? Did you kind of stop and enjoy the moment and like, okay, I'm like, we're all being a part of, and I'm being a part of a very special match that's unfolding here? Did it hit you at any point while in the match?
I mean, I think going into the match, we obviously knew that it was going to be a big game. It was a huge game last year. It was same competition this year, just playing for the state title this time. You know, I think, you know, in the match, it's hard to kind of just dwell on it because it was very back and forth, very intense the entire 100 minutes, I guess,
Right.
including the PKs. It was very chaotic, very stressful, but obviously very joyful in the end.
Awesome. Rafa?
Taylor, just you know what, look, the great player you are. Is there anyone that your style of play, like in the pros? Is there someone that really influences you when you play on the field?
I'm not sure. I do wish I watch more soccer than I do. You know, I take a lot of credit to all of my coaches, you know, whether that's Coach Adams or my club coaches that help me out, or even my coaches that I'll have at Tech next year. You know, just getting all of that different input and feedback just to make me a better player has been really helpful.
Hey, I'll chime in here real quick and say Robert Lewandowski,
Oh,
the guy that just as soon as he gets in front of the goal, he's magic, right? Same thing with Taylor, right? That in my opinion, that's who she reminds me of.
awesome. Well, both Rafa and I were both Real Madrid fans, so we were thinking maybe Karim Benzema, maybe.
Okay.
But okay, we'll settle for Lewandowski.
Okay.
Right? So, question here. This one's for both of you. Really, is going into this tournament. If you go back and if you look at some of our previous episodes, our Inside Texas High School Soccer episodes, some of the episodes on the San Antonio Soccer Roundtable, where I was able to guest with Rafa and Harry. I had kind of been, and Rafa as well, but I had really been banging the drum for. I was excited about what was unfolding in the 4A classification, right, over the tournament, over the state playoffs, I should say, and then just because the number of teams and how, traditionally speaking, you know, people they look at 4A and they'll say it's not 6A, it's not 5A, but the talent level and the number of really highly talented teams, you know, really talented squads, really well-coached squads was what was standing out to me. And you were seeing a lot of great matchups each round that we got into the playoffs. So I kind of dubbed it, you know, obviously you all took part of a special state final. And then on the boys side, we had one as well, right, between Boerne and Celina. and gave us a great match. So I kind of dubbed this as really kind of the arrival of 4A, right, where it's looked at differently. It's looked at a higher level than maybe in the past. What are your, would you all agree with that? Did you all notice that? Did you all have any conversations about that at all?
Good say.
I guess just from like the 4A standpoint compared to like 5A and 6A. I mean, for example, I'm the only girl on my club team that plays as a part of a 4A team. So it's easy to root for them and their teams because obviously we're never going to face each other in playoffs. But it is very different, I think. But I also think that we are such a great 4A team that I think we can easily compete with the 5A and 6A schools, which, is why we, had some preseason games that we weren't just playing 4A schools. It was,
Right.
a lot of 5A and 6A schools, and they definitely challenged us. And I love that because it's DFW is a great area for soccer. You definitely have a lot of club kids kind of just dispersed throughout, whether it's, all the way in Midlothian or all the way in Celina. You've got lots of talent all around.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I kind of felt it was the coming out because I feel that people can now look at the style of play in the 4A and see that it has grown. And I think it's especially here in the soccer mecca of Texas and DFW. The club scene has blown up into this humongous thing that it is, and I really think that's finally reaching out to some of the smaller towns to where it is picking up the quality of soccer, and you are starting to see a better brand of soccer at the 4A level. Now, is it 5A and 6A where you've got 3 or 4 national team players on one team like Southlake? No, but it's there's still high quality players, and you look, I mean,
Right.
just with Taylor's as an example, I mean, this girl has the potential to be someone great in the future, both at the collegiate level and maybe even after that. And to say that 4A is trash, in my opinion, it's not valid anymore. And it's
Right.
because we were able to compete with some of the bigger schools, that we did in the preseason. That I think it kind of showed that that there are some quality 4A teams, and I think by the time you got to the regionals, even more so on the
Right.
state tournament, it was very obvious that those teams were teams that could compete with the majority of the teams throughout Texas at any classification.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Rafa?
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, Coach, I noticed in the playoffs that the 4 teams in your, basically yourself and the 3 other teams in your district were in the regional quarterfinals. How do you rate your district as far as the quality? Has it gone raised as far as the quality of the play from last year to this year?
Well, I honestly think that our top part of our top 4 were pretty strong, and I think it showed in the fact that, like you said, with the people getting so far in the playoffs, and that's 2 years in a row where it's been that way, where we faced it, Cotto Mills, and then Melissa fell short the year before, but then we got Melissa again. We got to play 2 district opponents 3 times this year. So I think it goes to show that again, speaking to just the Dallas Fort Worth area, that there's definitely a big presence of how good of a quality soccer is coming out of this area. I think it's something that is hard to argue otherwise, in my opinion. That there really is a big basis for quality soccer coming out of here, the DFW area, and you see it in who was crowned champion this year.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No doubt. 11-4A, District 11-4A is a power. It's legit for sure. So, all right. So Taylor, we know you got to go. We're gonna wrap up because obviously, like any great player, you got another training session to get to. So we're gonna wrap up with you here. We have one final question for you. As you get ready, obviously winding down your high school career, tell us a little bit about what you're getting ready to do in terms of Texas Tech.
Mm-hmm. Yes, obviously my high school career in every single sport is over now, which is crazy to think about sometimes. You know, we have this week off right, right after state, but you know that it's not the end of my journey. Obviously, I still have a club. We have our second half of our season to look forward to. We have games this weekend down in Houston, and we're gonna try to make another run in playoffs. Hopefully, similar to our Celina run, just on the national level. But yes, right after that, it's just right into tech, and you know, they're giving us things to prepare with, whether you know it's fitness or in the weight room, even like soccer wise. They want to make sure we're ready when we get there. So it's super fun getting to prepare for that. I'm definitely very excited, a little nervous, but it'll be a new chapter, and I'm really excited for it.
Right. Awesome. And we know you'll be in great hands. You're going to an exceptional program. You'll be in great hands with, Coach Stone and Coach Gibbs Keaton, Coach Keaton's actually, he's a 50/50 podcast alum. He was just on here not too long ago. So if you haven't had a chance to watch it, make sure you go watch that one. So he picked on me a little bit towards the end of that podcast, made fun of me a little bit. So
that was a good one. That was a good episode.
So Taylor, we appreciate you. We're going to go ahead. We're going to cut you loose. We'll wrap up with Coach Adams. We know you got a training session to get to, so please tell your club coaches thank you for understanding and for supporting you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for being here with us. Once again, congratulations on all your success, your teammates' success, and we wish you the absolute best going forward.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. So we start wrapping up here. Coach, Rafa, you got any final thoughts, any final questions for Coach?
Coach, so after this, now the season's over, what do you look forward now into 2023? How do things look going into the future, and anything as far as any changes as far as your scheduling? You're gonna play more tougher teams to get you get you prepared. What's the outlook for next year?
Yeah, it was my first year at the school, I didn't want to go in and start off my preseason getting my butt kicked every game. so I had to make sure that we tried to schedule some that we at least were able to hang in there. But I'm definitely going to look into to scheduling us some tougher games, just because I really felt that gave us a lot of fortitude to get through the season. I thought that was really important. We've got a pretty good class of 8th graders coming up. You win a state championship and you start getting a lot of emails from moms and dads about how excited their daughters are to play soccer next year.
Right.
So
it's funny how that worked out, right? It's funny how that happened.
so that's exciting. And then above all else, I think the state of Texas and the 4A hates to hear that really Taylor's the only starter that we're losing next year. And we're coming back with a vengeance. So awesome. Our eyes are gonna be, can we go and pull a Wakeland and run it up again 2 years in a row? So that's gonna be the goal.
And that's perfect. That leads me to my final question for you coaches. What are your initial thoughts in terms of managing the message and managing that message to your team next year? Because now you guys go from the hunter to the hunted, right? Now you're the target on your back. Obviously, it sounds like you're going to embrace that already, and rightfully so. You all are competitors, but how do you think you go about that as far as managing that? Because sometimes, as hard as it is to make it to a state title game, and then even harder to win one, it seems like it's even harder to try to defend it and repeat, right? So, how do you try to manage those expectations and take it maybe one game at a time?
Yeah, I think the message going forward is going to be humble and stay hungry. Just kind of what you said, that it's hard to repeat in anything. You look at even on the professional level at how often you get a team that's a super team and just can't do it, fall short. And I really think that's going to be the overall message: is can we make sure that we understand that it's going to take something really special to go and do it again, because like you said, we're going to get every team's best every week,
Right.
And that's what they need to understand, is that there's not going to be any game, from district onto the playoffs where we can have a bad game, because that's probably going to end up, us getting bounced out. And I know all the teams that we played over the course of this year, specifically Hendricks and Boerne, they're going to want a little revenge tour, and we got to make sure that we're ready for those guys. So
yeah, awesome. Well, Coach, this has been awesome. We've really appreciated having you on, joining us again. We know it's been a hectic last few days, so you being able to be accessible to us and give us some of your time, have Taylor on here as well. We appreciate it, and it's been tremendous watching you all go on this run as well. So thank you for that, and us being able to just watch it, observe it, and compete, and give us an incredible final against an incredibly worthy opponent in another state champion in Midlothian Heritage. You all gave us a great final. So thank you again for that, and thank you again for being here. And before we let you go, Coach, any final thoughts? Thank you, shout outs, any plugs, anything you want to share?
Yeah, well, just I guess a shout out to Midlothian on a great game. I kind of felt like you two both put it best. That it was one for the ages. That it was an epic game. And I kind of feel like they need to know that was two giants going at it, and want to thank them for that and a great season, and want to thank you two guys for growing this sport. It's very appreciated. This is as you guys know, sometimes is a underappreciated sport with high school soccer, and
Right.
I appreciate what you guys are doing here in the state. And I'll give a shout out to the 210. That's where my wife's from. She's over there
Nice.
from the west side. So
Oh,
shout
there
out to
you
the
go.
210.
All right. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, we appreciate it, Coach. Thank you again for the kind words, but more importantly, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it very much. And a big shout out to your entire, your entire team, all your girls there who I hope are watching, and then, but also just, the parents, your community, your, administrators, athletic coordinator, everybody. You guys are definitely well known in terms of your athletic department, right? And the commitment
Coach Elliott.
there.
Awesome.
Yeah. So it means a lot to us. We're grateful to have you here, but most of all, we just want to congratulate you on a job well done. And it's really hard to, it's very tough to be the last team standing on the last day of the season, right? So, congratulations.
Thank you, boys. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Have a good night. Take
You
care.
too. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, man. So awesome. Good stuff.
Yeah.
They gave us some great stuff. Thoughts?
I guess you can say a little. She does have a little the Lewandowski all those goal scoring. Sometimes,
Yeah.
but like I said, she's going to do a great thing. Taylor's going to do great things at Texas Tech, and I'm very lucky to have her. And then, like I said, I think this is the beginning of Celina, for the girls, and maybe even the boys too, because the boys also did well too, and they got to the final, and sending some love to them as well. The beginnings of a well-established program. It's just like like the Salt Lake Curls, like Travis Lee and so forth, the ones that have had that tradition. I think they're going to start that new tradition for 4A soccer here in the state of Texas.
Yeah. They gave us, it's great to have them on, and I think with Taylor, you see what's really incredible about her is just, she's such a competitor, a beast on the field, but yet still very humble, still very humble. And I know that's something that's pretty phenomenal to watch or to see. And I think it's really a great treat. And, we're grateful to be able to have them on. And they talk about now being able to, they lose her to graduation, and that's really it, right? So, what can we expect from Celina, in 2023? But also now they have to navigate these waters, as Coach mentioned, with going to get everybody's best shot, right?
Yeah, and I think one thing is from it's hard to replace Taylor, but it's going to give an opportunity to somebody else to step up to that role. or maybe like one thing Taylor mentioned, it's about getting her teammates involved. I think that was a good thing to do, and to raise confidence and stuff. And maybe they do it by committee, as far as the goal scoring, and then that usually that happens, at times, and it's going to be tough to defend that than just one player that they can focus on. So, like I said, I don't think they're gonna have a target in the back, but I'm sure they're gonna do some good things. I think they're also gonna look for a challenge as well. Challenge maybe some of these 5A teams to see how they stack up, just to prepare them for they understand the long run in that 4A playoff. So, especially in that district they're in, 2 years in a row to have 4 of their teams in the quarterfinals. That says a lot as far as the type of play they're having in that district.
Yeah, I mean, just getting through. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. Do you recall? I can't remember if any of those in 11-4A are going up to 5A. Do you recall?
I don't think so.
I don't think so, but
no, the only one that is going up is with Midlothian, but I know they're not in their district. But
they're not in that district. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I want to say was it Salado maybe going up to 5A? I'm trying to think.
They're moving over to Region 1.
That's what it is. Maybe that. Yeah, that's what it is. Got it. So awesome. So So again, thank you. Congratulations to the Celina Bobcats. They are the 2022 UIL Girls 4A state champions. So congratulations to them. Thank you to Coach Adams and to Taylor Strojeski for joining us. We appreciate that. So, all right. So we're going to go on. Our next guests joining us now. They are the 2-time defending 4A boys state champions and Coach Strong, and our state final MVP, Noah Lemaster. How are you guys?
I'm good.
Doing awesome.
Yeah. All right. Coach looks like he's ready for another final. He's ready to
Let's go.
Coach, you've been here now. I think you may have now, the title for most appearances on the podcast. So I don't know, maybe we got to get you the championship belt or something, but you got plenty of bling already on your own, man. So I don't know. You don't need anything from us. So, all right. So, hey, thank you guys for being here. We appreciate you all. So you're 4 days removed from winning a second state title, back-to-back state titles. Has it really sunk in? How does it feel?
No, it's still really not sunken in much for me, but I definitely think it's starting to. It was one of those games where I'm never going to forget, just from how much I was able to play and be able to affect it.
Yeah.
For me, no, it's I think last year still hadn't really sunken in, and now we just did it again this year, back to back. But it's crazy how you have different players who last year may have been a minimal role player, and then this year they get to go out there and be a really strong contributor. And so no, it was a lot of fun, and it's been very enjoyable the last few days. I'll put it like that.
Right, Rafa.
Take us back to the final game. How'd you guys feel going into that game? As far as preparation and just the matchup itself.
I knew it was going to be a pretty good matchup, so I was mentally preparing for the worst, and I knew we were going to have to fight it out because Celina looked pretty good on the film. So,
right.
Yeah, Celina was there for a reason. They were absolutely incredible. I made the mistake of wanting to play in behind in the corners a little bit too much. We were having trouble getting diagonal balls in over the top, which was a mistake of mine. But I did also stress playing down the channels, which we did find success doing. And as the game wore on, I thought we found more success, like I said, playing through the channels. But I think a huge part of that is Celina, and all the credit they deserve. That is one heck of a team. Defensively, their coach has them so organized in the back. And, I wasn't sure, was that because they're not good individual defenders and that's why they're so organized and their coach hasn't played so defensive? But no, they're all great individual players. They're very organized. They've got 2 defensive mids to sit right on top of, on top of the back four. And I thought Celina was, and their goalkeeper, right, as good as Noah was, their goalkeeper wasn't far behind. And so I was all the credit to Celina. They're incredible.
Yeah, they they put in a tremendous showing and gave us, coupled with you all, they gave us a tremendous state final, and we recognize that you all had to dig extra deep, and rightfully so. I mean, the handful of times that I've had the opportunity to watch Celina boys play, that was that was the best I had seen them play. Was you all kind of brought out the best in them. That was the best I had seen them play all year. And so, yeah, it was an incredible match there. But so, Coach, take us through, describe your experience of this season versus the last. Did it, we just talked about it right now with Celina, but it's hard to make a state, to make a state tournament, let alone a state final. But to win it, right, that's a really tough feat. But then to go back and win it again, right, to repeat, that's a whole other layer of degree of difficulty. But take us through your experience from last season versus this season in terms of just approach, difficulty. Did it feel any different? Did it feel harder? What were your thoughts on that?
I think we're fortunate that we won state in the COVID year. We didn't have a regional tournament. We didn't have a state tournament. So it still felt like a very normal season, right? We were playing Tuesday, Fridays, or Tuesday, Saturday. And I think that helped us into this year with the regional tournament was new, the state tournament was new. So it was still very exciting. On the flip side of that, though, we knew we had so much talent coming back that, and I've talked about this before, that towing that line of confidence and arrogance, and we towed that line because we just knew that every game that teams are going to come beat us. We knew our quality, we knew our work rate, we knew how good we were defensively, how great Noah was in goal, and I think that really helped us keep a level head going all the way throughout until we hit Celina, obviously, and they punched us in the mouth. But again, I don't want to say it was easier, but it was very assumed, and it was almost like we just knew that we were always destined to get back to that state final game. And on the flip side, I think our team always knew, even before this year, and if we would have won state last year, my seniors when they were freshmen, or my juniors when they were sophomores or freshmen, I think we always knew that this year was going to be special. And so again, it was almost. And no disrespect to any teams we played against, but it was always kind of assumed, hey, this team, they're in our way. We're going to go beat them, and then we're going to go to the next game and the next game. So I think that was kind of our mentality this year. So two very different seasons, though. COVID and then tournaments. Right. It was a new experience. It was a lot of fun too, and very stressful at the very end.
Yeah. Did you find, and that's a great point, because last year, no regional tournament, no traditional regional tournament, no traditional state tournament. So even though you all had been there before, you all really hadn't been there before, right? In terms of that experience. So was there any one moment that maybe kind of threw you for a loop in there in terms of this year versus last year with those back to back? What was the biggest adjustment? Was it the recovery? What was it?
Yeah, I think it was the urgency to come out really strong, which looks like a joke now since we gave up the first goal in 3 out of the 4 games. But there was urgency, I promise, to come out there and perform really well. And again, credit to Progresso for scoring on us first. And we were able to collect ourselves. And obviously it was just a kind of a lapse in judgment. But we came back, and obviously we had 8 unanswered there, so I was able to get a lot of guys playing time and save our legs for that next game. Because the regional tournament, that's the brutal one, right? You play Friday, Saturday. You don't get that day off. And for 4A girls, we need to look at that and say what's going on there with, them playing Wednesday and then Thursday. They need to get knocked out, to the 7:00 game for Thursday, give them as much time as possible to get rest, or even give them some extra rest there. But, that regional tournament was hot in McAllen. We normally go down in the wintertime where it's, I think this year was, teams were dropping out because it was too cold. Yeah. And we go down there for the regional tournament. It was warm, and so, the tournaments themselves were very interesting. It's just making sure that you can get off to a fast start to really help your guys save their legs for, you're managing 160 minutes, you're not managing 80 minutes.
Yeah. So Noah, take us through, we talked about briefly going into that match, into the championship match, right? The state final, but take us through that final from your perspective, and you have two goalkeeper trainers here, right? And Rafa and I, I know me, when I played, I was usually a little on edge until I got my first touch in, right? And then that would settle me. I would get settled in after that. But for you, take us through that match from a goalkeeper perspective. And also, was there a moment there, maybe somewhere late in the match, where obviously it wasn't a final yet, but was there a moment where you had like in some internal confirmation that you felt where, okay, we got this now. This is ours.
Yeah. So with going into the game, I knew it was going to be tough. So I spent a ton of time in warm-ups just mentally preparing to go through that battle, because it was going to be a goalkeeper duel at that point. There was two solid defenses, pretty decent offenses, so there was going to be a good amount of shots on goal. And then I'm the same way you were, where it takes me that first touch on the ball, whether that be with hands or feet, just to settle in and find that groove.
Right. Yeah.
And then for me personally, the moment that I pretty much knew I was going to be able to play my best was that free kick save in the first half. That one really, being able to save that with it being one hell of a shot, I knew it was going to be a good game for me.
Right. Yeah. That was a great shot too, a great save. So, Rafa?
No, who do you style your style play as far as goalkeepers, like in the professional level? Who do you look up to, and do you use a lot of their techniques or tendencies when you're on the field?
For me, I've always tried to be as well-rounded as possible, so I have like 3 or 4 goalkeepers that I look up to. To name a few, Ter Stegen's a good one, Ederson with his distribution, then Neuer being able to play out of the back and be that extra 11th defender, and then Tim Howard just being able to push through all the hard stuff that he's been through.
Nice. A Tim Howard reference from the younger generation. That's awesome. I like to hear that. Yeah.
I got to train with his trainer for my goalkeeping license, so I learned a lot of tendencies from him. A lot of technical stuff. Yeah. So I can see that on your style play. You have a lot of that of Tim Howard in you.
Awesome. So this one's for both of you, really. What, we talked about the balance and the difference between, wanting to remain humble and confident, but without arrogance. And I know, Coach, you had previously mentioned it in terms of, hey, the pressure's not, you guys were approaching it like the pressure's not really on us because we've been here already. We won. But was there anything, when you look back on it, maybe it was during the season, maybe it was at the tail end of district play, maybe it was over the course of the grind of the state, the state playoffs. But what surprised you when you look back on it? What surprised you the most about this season? Good or bad? Just what surprised you?
I think for me, what really caught me off guard was how much the 2 tournaments were rough mentally. Because it's one thing to go play 80 minutes, and it's another thing to be doing that 80 minutes on top of it being high pressure and having to be at the top of your game in both sets. So I think that's one thing that surprised me, was having to fight through not only physical but the mental battle.
Yeah, and I think for me it was honestly mine's kind of funny, because I talk about how I knew our team was always going to be so good this year, but a big one for me was how are we going to replace our seniors from last year? We only lost 4 and 2 starters and one a really good role player who could have been a starter, and then a great locker room guy. And it was, I know we've got a lot of talent on this team, but sometimes you need some really good talent, especially for 4A soccer, where, you can, if you got one guy, and the guy I'm thinking of is Rowdy Fritz last year. I mean, from a technical standpoint, one of the most talented players I've ever been around. And I'm asking people, okay, how are we going to replace him? What's that going to look like? And kind of y'all said earlier with Coach Adams, it gives an opportunity for other players to step up. And I think that for me was the most fun about part of this year, and maybe the most surprising was getting to see Sam Tice fill that role, getting to see Justin Moore, Landon Murphy, Jake Herman, Hudson Vicker, these guys who I didn't think were going to be these key players for us this year step up, and all of a sudden they're absolutely incredible for us. And so I think for me it was the beginning of the year that really was surprising in a really good way, because again, we have lots of talent, but how is that going to look on the field? What's it going to look like in formation and shape and how we play and everything? And the guys surprised the heck out of me, and it was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And Noah, I know you and Coach, correct me if I'm wrong, I think in terms of some of your top performers and leaders, you have Joe Bellinger's coming back next year too, right?
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So, so Noah, how do you, Joe, how do you handle the, cause it's already coming, it's going to get thrown out at some point. It's like, oh, hey, can you guys win 3 in a row? Can you make it a three-peat? Although the whispering will start, right? So how do you approach that? I mean, here you are just a few days removed from back-to-back state titles, but what are your thoughts in terms of being prepared for that as the season, as you all enter the season next year, in terms of managing expectations?
I mean, expectation-wise, everyone's going to expect the best, especially with the amount of quality in the back that's coming back. But I think if we really focus and hold a high expectation and get the most out of every practice, I think we could easily go three-peat it. It just is going to take a little bit more work from some people in the midfield maybe to fill in those roles that we're losing. But I feel confident enough to say that we're probably going to give up less goals this year. Or we're going to give up less goals next year than we did this year with how our backline's set.
Coach, you got a good one here. He's referencing training. He's referencing practice, not games. He's referencing practice. So that's awesome. So I love that. So
yeah, it's awesome. He's got that mindset.
Yeah. So, Coach, so take us through. This is the third boys soccer state title in school history, program history, and for you all back to back. Obviously, we already discussed that, but also you all become the first UIL, the first public school in the San Antonio area to win back-to-back state titles. How has that, the history of that accomplishment, has that even remotely sunk in? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's all the credit to our guys and Noah and the team. Staying focused and buying in, and really it goes with teams before. This year and the year before, and it starts with our seniors from, my first year 4 years ago. And without that buy-in from those seniors then, because remember, that's first year coach for me, they're seniors saying, who's this guy coming in? Why are we supposed to follow what he says and run on the track as much as we do? And so, no, it's just, I'm so thankful to have guys here at Boerne, the guys that we do, because they're the ones who make this all possible. Talking about, sinking in, that's their accomplishment, and I think it'll be neat that it'll happen again. That's the great thing, right? San Antonio soccer is only getting better. Look at, the 6A, I should say the Region 4 especially, but, having 6A, 4A championships coming out of the boys' side now 2 years in a row for the area, we'll say, I think speaks volumes to the amount of talent that the boys are, and the girls too, but really the boys right now they're showing is here, and it's going to happen again. And when it happens, they'll always say, well, Boerne did it 21-22, and now you guys did it. And I think that's that to me is really special for these guys, that they're always going to be brought back up in conversations with great current teams, whether that happens a year from now or 5 years, 10 years from now. The Boerne Greyhounds will always be mentioned. I think that's why I'm so happy for these guys, because they'll be able to go out and say, hey, that was me. That was, we did that. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. It'll be a lot of high school reunion talk, right? For sure.
Alumni games. Absolutely.
Yeah. There you go. Rafa?
Looking forward for 2023. What do you see? Any predictions, or what do you have planned for 2023? What can you expect? What can we expect from you guys?
Well, Noah said it's going to be easy. Way to go, Noah. Just because we're returning a lot of our defenders and our goalkeeper there. Let's pump the brakes on that one, Noah. But it's going to be a fun challenge, 100%. And again, you don't know until you kind of come in day one. And really, it's not even day one. It's that first tournament. I mean, we had so many changes happen in that Alamo Heights tournament versus where we finished. And so everything leading up to that's going to be awesome. But once you get into that first tournament and really see what you got, I think that's when you'll be able to really kind of start planning on, all right, well, what are we going to do three-peat wise, or what kind of run are we going to make? But to Noah's point, we got a lot of good players coming back. Yes, we've got players we're going to miss. Our kids going to step up? Absolutely, they always do. But we do have a heck of a defense coming back. We got Jess Gonzalez, my defensive mid, who he might be 5'6", but he plays like he's 6'5". And so if we can get the rest of the pieces around the defense, I think we have the opportunity to be in the mix again.
Right. Yeah. So Noah, if you find yourself running some extra laps tomorrow in class, you'll know why, right? So just kidding. But yeah, I mean, as we start wrapping up here, guys, the question, this is kind of for both of you, but also I know Coach a little bit more on your side, I guess. But I'm kind of curious because I did mention it with Coach Adams and Taylor right now from Celina. One of the things that I was really banging the drum on throughout the season, late in the season, as the state playoffs started, and then as we progressed in the state playoffs towards the state tournament, was just I called it and then it just kind of came to fruition in the state tournament. It was kind of finally recognized in the state tournament, but I called it really this season the arrival of 4A, right? Meaning the quality of the level of play is just, I think, just light years ahead of, I think, where people think it is in terms of when they hear 4A in comparison to 5A or 6A, but just in terms of the depth, in terms of many teams, some of these great matchups that we saw across the state tournament, state playoffs, I should say, on both sides, both the girls and boys. Did you all, I guess my question to you is, did you all notice that more this year, or did it seem the same? Was there any talk about that? Just because I think 4A doesn't seem to get enough of the love, and the reality of it is I think we came out of that tournament watching two exceptional 4A state finals, and in my opinion, what I shared with Celina a little while ago was that that final between them and Midlothian Heritage, I felt, in my opinion, was the match of the entire week. What were your thoughts on that?
Definitely think that the quality in soccer, especially in 4A, is definitely increasing. But I think it's also pretty cool seeing the level increase in all the different divisions as well. You see all the 5A and the 6As, all the kids on the national team that are starting. So it's definitely a new experience.
Yeah, I think I think depth is still an issue between 4A, 5A, 6A, but I think the quality is coming around, and which is great. Now we've got more kids, more than ever now, who are coming out, and it's my first year was, I got like half football players and I got half soccer players. I'm trying to turn football players who are athletes into soccer players. And now it really is, it's all soccer players coming out for tryouts and who are joining the period. And I think we were ahead of the curve last year. I really do. Last year we lost to Lee 3-1 in an early, tournament. And we were up 1-0, 60 minutes in that game. And they had the dominant possession of the ball, but I think that really helped us last year being ahead of that curve. But then getting to state this year, I tell you what, you looked at, Celina, Stafford, Stephenville. I'm sitting there and, shame on me. I thought Stephenville was going to win because I saw some film on them. I'm like, golly, it's like looking in a mirror. They moved the ball. They switched the point of attack. So, no, I think 4A soccer has come a long way, and the quality is there. It really is. And I think we can play with anyone, and Celina, I'm sure, could play with anyone and give it a heck of a match and be in that game. So yeah, I think especially at the upper end of those 4A schools, if you run into a 4A school 5A 6As, don't just assume. You're going to be in for a fight and a battle, and it's the sport of soccer. Anything can happen.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. Well said. Absolutely well said. So, all right, gentlemen. So as we go ahead and we start wrapping up, we really want to thank you for your time. We're grateful to have you here, and to obviously to you two, but your entire team, Coach Strong, all the boys, your the parents, the community, obviously your administrators, your athletic coordinator, the entire community out there. I'm sure they're buzzing even more so this year. So, on behalf of us, we want to congratulate all of you in making some San Antonio area history as well. And before we go, we just wanted to see about leaving you all any final thoughts, anything you'd like to share.
No.
Yeah, I just want to thank the entire community of Boerne. I know you guys posted our send off, and where else can you be where you have the fire trucks, you got local PD, you got state troopers all coming together to send us to state us and the girls, and how special is that? We got the best administrators, whether it's our principal, Mr. Wilson, or Coach Leach and Terry Galt on the athletic side, and obviously we got Coach Hendricks. And I had too many for me to list, but we're just so fortunate here at Boerne to have the best community in the world, and I'm so thankful for that. And like I told you guys, thank y'all so much for what y'all do and bringing content and coverage and exposure to the state of to high school soccer in the state of Texas and really Region 4. I know my boys are so happy that you guys do this. And last year was we're going to show them, and this year we got to do it for these guys because they're believers. So no, thank you guys for everything you guys do, because it goes so far. I promise you guys that more than you guys know. So thank you guys.
No, we appreciate that. We appreciate the kind words. Thank you, but more so, congratulations to you all. We're here because of you all. So, and we know that for sure. We're grateful for. I'm telling you, Coach, the moment you started asking for calling tails on flipping a coin, good things started happening for you. So, but yeah. In case you have no idea what we're talking about, go back and listen to one of the previous episodes with Coach Strong, and you'll see we had him on, and had to give him a little bit of a lesson in terms of flipping, how to flipping a coin flip, I should say. So awesome. So gentlemen, thank you very much. We sincerely appreciate both of you. Congratulations to your entire community. But before we go, this is an opportunity for me to embarrass Rafa with as many people on here as possible. So I just wanted to wish Rafa, Mr. Ed Papasaccaritis, a special happy birthday. So happy birthday.
Happy birthday!
We won't sing.
A duet for you, but you don't want to hear that.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I'm not singing. So awesome. All right, Noah, Coach Strong, thank you again. We appreciate all of your time, and you all have a good night.
Thank you, guys.
You
Happy
too.
birthday.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Thoughts? Anything?
Just like I say, what can I say about the Boerne program? They're relaxed, and hey, they just go out there, take care of business, and it's worked for the last 2 years. And as far as going to 2023, can you say they're their favorite? Yeah, the one thing that Noah mentioned about the defense, defense does win championships. So
Right.
they just have to get the right pieces, and like Coach Strong mentioned, they lost some players from the first championship team, and some kids stepped up and they rose to the occasion. And I don't see, like I said, I can see this happening again with some of the players. Like I said, the ones that maybe didn't have the roles, or they were maybe coming off from the bench. Now they get to be in the spotlight and get to shine and really show what they have, in the starting position. So, and then it's good for, and like I said, they're under a great tutelage under Coach Strong, and I expect them to be back in Georgetown again next year. And I think have a legitimate shot at winning the third straight state title.
Well, they definitely they definitely will have a big say. That's for sure, no doubt. And obviously, now they got to navigate that. They've gotten used to having the target on their back, and now they'll have some personnel changes again as they lose some to graduation. But I know, as long as Coach Strong is there as well. I mean, there's a lot of talent in that group, that community as well. But as long as Coach Strong is there, he knows that they got something special there, so as long as he's there, and that culture piece, which is so hard to get right, so hard to implement, they have it there. It's locked in, and now it's just a matter of just you tweak it, you fine tune it a little bit, but you stay humble, you stay hungry, and no doubt they'll have a big say in it next year as well, for sure. So.
I know for Region 4, like I said, this year there were some surprise teams that we didn't see the year before that really rose to the kind of the occasion, and sort of going to give some a challenge to Boerne, but Boerne was able to take care of business. And like a team like Taylor came out of nowhere,
yeah,
and now who's to say what they do next year? They could be a legitimate threat. Lavernia, I know they had a bad setback in the first round, but that program they're returning pretty much everybody on that team. That's another team to be on the lookout. And and then also you have your two Valley teams, Progreso and Hidalgo. I know they got lost in in the regional semifinals, but you still can't count them out. And so there are teams popping up. Like I said, the 4A is getting stronger. There are some coming when there are more teams. I think Coach Sean even mentioned like an Eastside Memorial was one.
Right.
They had a little trouble with they mixed it up in that first game. I think Austin the Chiefs. So even Idea Montopoulos was another one. He said that they were coming along. So it just shows that the soccer level for 4A is coming up, and it may take some time. Like I say, yes, the issue for them would be the deaf, because there are smaller enrollment. But like I said, if you can get the right combination of players, you can make a serious run deep into the playoffs.
Right. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, it'll be it won't be too long before we start talking about 2023. So it'll be here before we know it. And of course we'll start talking with again with inside hashtag Texas High School Soccer. We'll start talking about that a little bit more in the fall, especially because TAPS gets going in the fall. So it'll be good. It'll be a lot of fun. So we're gonna recover after a few more episodes, but then we'll be ready to go. So awesome. So Rafa, again, happy birthday, my man. Appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Thank you to all our listeners, all of our supporters. We're grateful for you, man. You're the reason why we do it, and we will be coming back Thursday. This Thursday, the plan is there'll be an announcement coming out by tomorrow. Plan is to have a Thursday night episode, which will be our 6A championship edition, and so yeah, we'll be looking forward to that. And it'll be Rafa and I coming back and joined by some of our 6A championship coaches and players. But first, we got a big game tomorrow, right? That we get to attend. So before I let you go, any final thoughts on that? And in case you're wondering, the big match we're talking about is the third round of the U.S. Open Cup between Austin FC of the MLS and the home team here in San Antonio FC of the USL Championship. What are your thoughts on that?
I think the whole city of San Antonio is looking for this game. Get some little, I don't say payback, but just so the circumstances of the whole mess with the MLS and them going to Austin instead of coming here, the kind of the treachery, lies, and deceit from Don Garber. So just if you ever see me in section 114, just be ready. I'll have some signs tomorrow.
Oh God.
So if you didn't see the last game, I had a couple of them making fun of to the 8-notch. I shout out to them. They're bringing good sports on some of the funny memes.
Yeah, they are.
I sent out, and then some of the signs I made for the past games. So check out that. Also, a shout out to Robert. He's gonna have his signs there too at the Booker. So we'll have those ready hopefully by tomorrow. And Hopefully we get a win, and that's what we want. We can get a win. We'll have bragging rights. Really the pressure's on them because they're the MLS team. We're not. We're the USL team. We're supposed to lose them.
Right.
So hopefully we can knock them off and just show Don Garber that he made a mistake going to Austin instead of coming here to San Antonio.
And if I understand it correctly, this is Austin FC's first. This is their first ever U.S. Open Cup match, right? In club history, right?
Yeah, so, they didn't play last year, so this is the first one. So
right, yeah, and it was still kind of a mess last year. So
yeah, so hopefully we win this one, and then we'll see. I don't know. We'll face the Dynamo or FC Dallas after this, or it depends on what the I guess how they sort it out and so forth. And then SAFC's got another big game on Saturday at New Mexico, so hopefully we can finally get a win there, and they're in that baseball field apart. I think where they play at. So
no special tifos for tomorrow. No El Gato.
El Gato's right there. He's right behind me, right there.
No special tifos for tomorrow.
Oh, they should. Hopefully they do. They're not. Like I said, I'll have my signs there. So you're on ESPN Plus. Look out for section 114 on the first row. So you'll see me there hanging some funny signs, making fun of Austin and so forth. So
nice.
We'll have that, and like I said, we'll just look. It'll be a fun game because I said we look forward to for this matchup.
Good deal. Any upcoming any plugs? Any upcoming episodes with the roundtable?
Yeah, we're still waiting for that. I think we're gonna do hopefully soon, like at the end of the year for the high school roundup. For the San Antonio roundtable, and then also like I said, we'll still have our podcast for the Santa SAFC games, and we're now going to start coming up with some shows for the amateur teams. I know the SA Runners are going to play this Saturday, I think at Whitley Heights. So you have a chance so since SAFC is out of town, you can say, hey, could you go to Whitley Heights Stadium and go cheer on for the SA Runners. I think they play at 7:30. They're playing actually against the SA Surf, so it's going to be like a local rivalry game there. Yeah. So go check it out. Some great talent there. Hopefully some maybe future talent here from San Antonio. Hopefully they'll get signed, in the near future to play with the professional teams.
Awesome. Good deal. All right. Well, that's going to do it. We're going to go ahead and wrap this one up. Again, thank you to our listeners and supporters. We appreciate you. Again, you can find us on Twitter at 50_50pod, as well as on YouTube at the 50_50 podcast. You can find us on Instagram as well as at 50_50 podcast. And then all the audio version of, the podcast, you can find us on all major podcast platforms. Go on there, give it a listen, give it a download, and give us a rating. If you like us, please give us a rating. It helps the algorithms as well on everything, especially both on YouTube and just with the with the podcast. And if you think we stink, give us some constructive feedback, and we'll continue to work on that. So again, we appreciate you. Thank you, Rafa, birthday boy. Let's get out of here.
Thank you, everybody, for all the wishes. Everybody, that's it today.
All right. Hey, you're getting a shout out from Real Madrid, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was the shocker of the day. I saw the email. Hey, Karim Benzema saying me best wishes here.
Yeah, that's cool. That's awesome.
Shout out to Florentino too.
All right, so thank you again, folks, and a special thank you to the Celina women's soccer program and the Boerne men's soccer program. We appreciate you both. Thank you for your time, your accessibility. And once again, congratulations to those communities on their 2022 4A Girls and Boys State Championships. So, all right, until the next time, you know what to do. Keep downloading and keep listening. You've been listening to the 50/50 podcast, powered by College Promoters USA. Help us continue to grow by liking, rating, and subscribing on all major podcast platforms. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter at 50_50pod, on Instagram at 50_50podcast, as well as on YouTube at the 50_50